Hi guys, welcome back. Here I'm finally showing you how I assembled my gaming rig. Again, this is based on the MSI B550i. This is an ITX motherboard. Now most of the parts I'm using here are used parts except for my main NVMe SSD and my power supply. So here is the motherboard. I will be removing the heatsink and fan brackets because I'm using an AMD Ryzen cooler and it doesn't need that. It directly mounts on the motherboard. I'm fitting one of my 8GB memory sticks from T-Force just to check whether or not my heatsink and fan will clear it, and fortunately it did. So my little helper is showing you the decals of the memory that I bought. Again, these are used, so I'm installing my Ryzen 5 3500X. I will be removing the memory once again to install my heatsink and fan. But first, I will install my NVMe SSD. This is from a brand called KingSpec. I use this on my laptops and they work fine. Oh no, not KingSpec, KingSpec. So a bit of thermal grease, Noctua thermal grease on my processor's heat spreader, integrated heat spreader. Not sure if I use too much, but hey, better too much than too little. So I'm installing now the heatsink and fan. I did have to bear down on this a little bit. Now the CPU fan header is located beside the memory module slots, on the DIMM slots. Now I'm installing two 8GB 3200 mega transfer memory modules from T-Force. And yes, these are RGB memory modules. I got a good deal bundled with, it was bundled with the motherboard. I'm installing a secondary drive for my files. This is a 128GB Samsung NVMe SSD. Up next, we'll be installing this motherboard into the case. The case I'm using is Rakk Hawani case. Again, I got this on the used market for the cheap. Yes, it's meant for a larger motherboard, but hey, this is the case I have, so might as well use it. So the standoffs on this case uses M3 screws instead of the regular motherboard screws. Now, being an ITX motherboard, you only need 4 screws to mount this thing. I'm going to test fit my XFX RX580. I'll be removing this later on because the header for the front I/O is obscured by the card, so I need to install that first, or plug that in first before the card. So here is my Seasonic Focus semi-modular power supply. This is 750 watts. This is brand new. I didn't want to risk using a used power supply for this build. So most of the parts here are used, except for my primary NVMe SSD drive from KingSpec and my 750 watt power supply from Seasonic. So here it is, all cable managed. So I have two fans, two intake fans on the front, and one exhaust fan at the back. So here it is being powered on. The front fans have a white LED light, and yes, the memory modules are RGB. So aside from that, no other RGB part in this build. Thanks for watching. Enjoy.